Okay. Okay, who remember what we talked about last week? Don't everybody yell out at the same time now. Who remember what we talked about last week? Anybody? We have a microphone around? Who remember what we talked about last week?
We talked about man's responsibility as priests, protectors, providers, and anchors in the household.
Huh?
We were talking about putting together, you were on the, putting together your a sermon. And from when I arrived, we were talking about man's responsibility. You had asked a question about man's responsibility in the home. And the question that you asked, it led to man's responsibility as being the place, the protector, provider, and the planner. And then you asked about the 3 C's, which was comrade, confidant, and constituent.
Okay. Anybody else?
And then crafting a statement.
Okay, that's what we talked about. That's what we talked about, crafting a sticky statement. Okay, so crafting a sticky statement. Oh, sorry about that, William. Okay, so that's what we talked about. We talked about crafting a sticky statement. Crafting a sticky statement. And let's go back over that. Let's go back over crafting a sticky statement. Let's look at P. P is what? What was P? And the word is preach, right? The acronym is preach. And P was what? Okay. Be tested on this, so you better be paying attention. You guys are going to be tested on this. No. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. You're right. So the P is what? No, P is what? P stands for picture. Okay, so P stands for picture. So the question is there a picture in your metaphor? Here's something that, and this is, I thought was really, really interesting, and I'm sure we can think about a lot of different ones, but probably one that was because now here's one of the things that I think that we have to do. I was listening to somebody, and they called this, I forgot who it was I was listening to now, but they called pretty much your elevator speech. And here's one of the things that what is his name? Why did I what's his name real quick? The Apple guy. What's his name? Jobs. Yeah. Here's one of the things that he did that was really, really powerful, and it really stuck in people's in, because remember he had to create, you know, whatever product you have to have an elevator speech that that surrounds that. You know what an elevator speech is? Or less. Yeah, probably three minutes might be long. That might be long depending on what floor you're going to. But yeah, let's just say three minutes or less. But basically, it's an information, and I want you to do this. This is some homework for you. I want you to do this. I want you to craft a message. I want you to craft a message, and I want you to, and this is where you're gonna have to, you know, become a little more interesting. Some of you guys, and you're gonna have to get a Twitter account. You have to get a Twitter account. And you can get it for this. You can get it for this purpose. After this, you don't even have to go on anymore until we need it again. But you're gonna need to get a Twitter account, because in Twitter, now I don't know the number. I don't know the character count. What is it? 140. So you can only have 140 characters. You have to make a statement, and you can only have 100. You can only have 124 characters. 140 characters. It takes up some of that space, right? Is there anything else in there, or am I thinking because I'm at a different account, and then it has to go over to Twitter? And okay, okay. So you have 140 characters that include spaces. So a character is a character, and a space is a character. So every time you hit the space bar, that's another character. So you can only have 140. So what you actually have to do is you have to get your statement in those 140 characters. What is your message? What is your message about? Well, see what Steve Jobs did was he formed a picture in somebody's mind, and he held up, and this was the introduction of the iPod. He held up the iPod and he says, 1,000 songs in your pocket. And then he slipped it down. Everybody talked about it. Nobody forgot that. Why? Because he formed a picture in their mind. And nobody would ever forget the name of what he put in his pocket. Forget the name of what he put in his pocket because he said it, and then he surrounded it. He surrounded that with pocket and 1,000 songs. At that point, prior to that, I should say, nobody was ever accustomed to having a whole bunch of songs in anything that they could put in their pocket, until he came up with that. And so he's saying, he held it up like this, 1,000 songs in your pocket, and put it in there. And Apple went crazy. I mean, Apple purchases went absolutely crazy. And it has everybody. What that actually was he was giving us a picture. He was giving us a picture. He was giving us an image, and because he knew that what that was actually going to do, it was going to form in our thinking an image attached with words, and we were never going to forget it. Now, when it comes down to your message, what is it that you're going to be able How would you say your message in 140 words or less? Now,
140 characters.
right, 140 characters or less. 140 characters. How would you say that? How would you say that? How would you say what your message is? If you talked about love, and you came from John 3:16, how would you say what your message is in 140 characters or less? That's the thing that you have to think about. Now think about if you had a product or a business, you're still going to have to take that and you're going to have to put that in 140 characters or less, because that's going to become your elevator speech. You know, Jimmy, would you get my phone off my desk? I left my phone, I guess, and I have some juice. Enough. But now, and think about this, and I want you to make sure that you do that. In the meantime, you can practice on not just the message, but practice on yourself. Practice on yourself. So, Miss Carla, if I was to ask you for your elevator speech, what would you do? What did I say?
You said who you are is what you do. So I said
No,
what I do.
Right.
So you want both.
Uh-huh. Okay, so if you were to do that, how would you do that? How would you phrase that? You just stepped into the elevator, and there is Damien John. Oh no, not a good time to pass out. The boy's worth billions. It's not time to pass out. So what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
I provide affordable housing.
Yeah, that was part of my time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look you up. And he steps off the elevator. What just happened?
He has no information.
He has no information. You don't know who you are. Right. See, you have to come up with that. You have to come up with that. And you're gonna have to do the same thing with your message. You have to do the exact same thing with your message. I took a lot of notes. Okay, let's see. So it's gonna be way down. Card. So I had some image in my mind connected with that person. And then in my looking of maybe they wear glasses. Maybe they can't even see the information on the patient, the card in their pocket. Maybe they're not even going to be able to see the information. Maybe it's not such a good card. And so you are the introduction. As a matter of fact, there's a scripture that says something like that. There's a scripture. This epistle, read of men. Epistle. And so if you are the epistle read of men, then the question is, what is it that you're actually saying that gives a person an understanding that you are the epistle? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so what's going to be the introduction? Let me see if I did this, and let's see if I could find it really quickly.
2 Corinthians 3:2.
Okay, 2 Corinthians. Okay. Did y'all get that?
2 Corinthians 3:2. Ye are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read.
If I just knew what I call of you are on Twitter? Okay, 2 people? Okay. Uh-huh.
I understand putting the message there, 140 characters. But like you said, when the Apple guy did it, he was visual. He just stuck it in his pocket.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time thinking, how can I give somebody on an elevator my information in the 140 plus my message, plus my message, and they're gonna remember me. I mean, they're gonna be able to contact me.
It has to be a pictorial message.
For them to contact me. I'm stuck on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, see, here's one of the things that we don't do necessarily. I started doing it probably over 15 years ago, and that is branding ourselves. So I don't tell anybody that my name is Bishop Rodney Walker. I don't tell anybody that. What do I say? What do I say to people?
What do you say?
Yeah, what I say to people who I am.
That you are.
It's on all my books. It's on everything I create. It's all over Google. It's all over YouTube. Bishop R.S. Walker. That's my branding. That's the reason I need people to get that right. You know, I decided to join people and do Bishop R.S. Walker, but that's not how I created it. People couldn't get it right, so I decided to join them. You got it right, Miss Carla, but nobody else. You know, so so it was just showing up all different kinds of ways. And so what I would do is just, you know, that's what I tell people. That's what I actually tell people. How many characters is that, Carla? Bishop R.S. Walker. So basically, that's what I tell people. For instance, I may say something like, and this probably, say it again.
16.
About 16. Okay, so I may tell people, I step on the elevator. There's Damon John. And I may say something, hey, Damon, Mr. John, glad to meet you. I'm Bishop R.S. Walker, Senior Pastor, Heritage Church International, author and entrepreneur. He knows my name. He'll remember my face. So he'll remember my face. He knows my name, but now he knows the 3 basic things that I do. All in, how long did it take me to say that? Yeah, and so that's a perfect elevator speech. It wasn't overly indulging him in information or overly loading him, I should say, in information. So it was just quick, to the point. He'll remember that, and he'll probably Google me. Now, I didn't give him a phone number. I didn't give him an address. That's going to be an overload of information. But I gave him enough information where I've already done the homework on the internet. So he put in, oh yeah, I remember his name was Bishop R.S. Walker. He plugged that in. I'm going to come up all over the place. I'm going to be on the front page. He's not going to have to dig through pages to find me, because I've done the homework for the past 15 years on making sure that we were branding that name. Does that make sense? Okay, so now the question is, and then if you put me on YouTube, then it's going to be the exact same thing. It's going to be the exact same thing. I'm going to come up. So what we have to make sure that we actually do is in terms of our message. Now remember this. Now, one of the challenges that we had when we would do the early morning services, it was people's opportunity to speak, and then to invite people out, let them know that they're speaking. But now, if they had developed what we're actually talking about right now, do you realize that they could have so persuaded people to come and hear them speak? How many of you understand that? By crafting a metaphor. Here's a metaphor of what I'm talking about. Here's a metaphor. And so you could absolutely persuade people to be there to hear what you have to say, because you develop something so that that lodged an image in their mind. Let's say you're talking about the family. What is a statement that you could make in about the same amount of time as I introduce myself on the elevator to an individual? What is something that you could say about a message that will get them here in about the same amount of time? What would you say? You're talking about family. What could you say in about the same, using about the same amount of time that it took me to introduce myself on the elevator, about a message? You're going to preach a message. It's on the family. And so what could you say that's going to absolutely be a catcher, that's going to give them a tremendous picture, that's going to be able to get an individual here to make sure that they hear what you have to say? What's going to get them out? Family. Yes, sir.
Families coming together.
Okay. They come together in the grocery store too.
Always together. We always want to be together.
What would make me come out though?
Dealing with conflict in the family.
That's a good one.
You know, thing.
Say it again.
And the whole thing, you know, we gotta, you know, who we are.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Right, okay. I could say, I'm gonna start branding myself, y'all. BJ Browning.
That's good. I love it. I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna start branding myself.
I love it because Browning is a familiar name. So is Walker. It's a very familiar name. As a matter of fact, I met this guy, and some of you guys met him. I met him on Facebook. Guess what his name is? R.S. Walker. And I thought, okay, what's up with this? Now, last time I looked out there and saw him, guess what he changed his name to? Bishop R.S. Walker. He did. And I don't want to talk about people. And I thought, man, that joke ain't no bishop. He ain't no bishop. You know, he not. He don't even pastor. I mean, you can't go calling yourself a bishop and you're not over nothing. But that's self-made, man. You have to actually carry out the assignment before you get the title. You can't get the title and then say, okay, let me go and do this. Somebody just sent me a message on just the other day. You know, somebody done he just received his certificate. He received his certificate, and I want to see if I can get real close without exposing the person here. But he just received his ticket. Now, we just saw him. I know what the guy's going through and all of that. Okay, he just sent it to me, so it's got to be. Okay, so he just sent me. Okay, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. His phone number is not in here. Okay, his phone number is not in here. He sent it from another number. And when I saw who it was, I didn't even respond to it. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, this is him. Let's see, and I think it came in the mail. Yeah, independent affiliate church charter. The name of the church, name of the affiliate folks, and to the best of my knowledge, no face to face. I guess just sent away for it. And so now he's apostle. And so now, but here's the thing. I don't even know how we got all the way over there. How did we get there?
The guy called himself Bishop.
Oh yeah,
Credentials.
yeah. Let's get rid of all that. Okay, so let's. Okay, so yeah, so let's craft something. Let's craft something. Let's brand something. What are you gonna brand? How are you gonna brand you? Because now remember, it has to be memorable. My name is Johnny Jones. How many Johnny Jones are there? Millions, you're probably right. How many Johnny Jones are there? And so, how many Betty Walkers are there? I'm sure there are a lot. I know two. And so, and I'm married to one. So, so what makes that, what makes them stand out? What is it? How are you going to brand yourself? How are you going to brand your message? Because now remember, you can get somebody in here. What did you just say, Jimmy? What did you just say? Yeah, I mean, you just stepped into
the family.
Okay, so let's follow Vicky's lead on that. So they don't know who you are. They don't know who you are, but sell me on it. Sell me on it in a Twitter feed. Get me here. So now remember, it's going to consist of who you are. It's going to consist of who you are, the tag that you just said, and where they need to come.
I'm Elder Jim C.J. Altman of Heritage Church International. We're dealing with conflict in the family in Waldorf, Maryland.
Okay.
I said a little twisted around, but
Mm-hmm.
the information came up with.
Okay. Anybody else? How are you going to get you're on the family? How are you going to get them? How are you going to get them where you are now? Now understand this. Now that was quick, to the point. They know exactly who he is. And now, if he's already started the process of branding, what would you say?
Elder Jim C.J. Altman.
Okay, Elder Jim C.J. Altman. Okay, so if he's already started branding that, then they're gonna look up C.J. Altman, because he's already started branding that, and they're gonna look up C.J. Altman and see what they could find regarding him online. The question is, have we already started branding that? And then if they do, if by chance they forgot where Heritage Church International is, they're going to just Google it. They're going to Google him, and they're going to be able to identify exactly where he is, because they know that they're having major conflicts within the family. And he's already told them, I got your answer. Does that make sense? And so and this is something that we have to actually develop when we go do evangelism. What's the hook? Why should they come? Why should they come? We need a hook. We need something that's going to really hook them. That's going to bring them in. You know, every fisherman uses bait. It has to be more than the fact that you're a fisherman. Need some bait. What's the bait? What's the bait? That will serve as bait. What you got, Vicki?
Hi, I'm BJ Brownie, Harrison Church International, Waldorf, Maryland. I'm going to be talking about how you can heal yourself.
Okay. Is that a hook? It's a hook. How many people need healing? And so now understand this now. So what you're actually doing, you're coming up with something that's going to link them to who you are and where you're going. Who you are and where they need to come. If by chance they'll never forget the connection that you just made. They need healing, and you said you have it at whatever that church was that you named. See, even if the church name doesn't stick, your name is going to stick, which means that we need to have already done the branding, right? So then they're going to Google you. If they don't remember the church, they're going to Google you. If they don't remember you, they're going to Google the church. But they're going to remember one of those. But why are they going through that? They have a reason why. And the reason why that they have is because you connected with them, you connected with their need. And that's what the sermon is actually going to do. It's connecting with their needs. So can you come up with that is within their need, but it's regarding the message that you want to preach. So you're getting people fired up all week long on the hook, and it's the thing that we probably don't really do. We probably don't really develop that hook. Got it? Okay, so let's move on. Now, another thing that we talked about on last week was actually coming up with a rhyme. Now here's one. I still use this. I still use it, and you do have it right there on your paper. I before E, except after C. Now, even though there are all kinds of violations that I figured out that happens with this, but the general rule is probably going to work. Or it works for me. I before E, except after C, because now where that word believe or the word receive, I have to go through my little quote to keep me reminded. Okay, lest I misspell receive. I before E, except after C, and there's some more that goes with that, but you get the point on that, right? Okay, so it tells you whether you're going to put the I before the C or after the C. No? Huh? What? What did I say wrong?
The
C.
end part.
Yeah.
You're going to put the I before the E or after the E.
You said
Okay,
C.
so I was just checking to see. Okay. So the question is, which goes first? Which goes first? Does the I go first or does the E go first? And because I remember that little rhyme, then I always remember where to put it. Got it? Okay, so what is it that somebody's going to remember that you said in your message or regarding your message? What are they going to remember how are they going to remember your message? They're going to remember it through a rhyme. What you going to say? What are you going to say? Now, you don't have to use that. You understand that, right? You don't have to use that. But do you realize that's how children remember things? You know, they remember things real well by doing exactly that. You know, let me see, what's that other one? Columbus sailed the ocean blue in, was it 1392? Is it 1392? No, well, I don't, no, it definitely wasn't 16, but it's either 1392 or 1492. Is it 1492? Okay, so blue and 92 connects, right? Okay, so then, you know, when you have that and you say that, it'll be fresh in your memory, just always. It'll be seared in your memory. What is it? How's it that you're going to? What are you going to come up with that's going to work in somebody's memory? The main thing that you want them to remember regarding your message. What is it that you're going to work in? Okay. What are you going to echo? E was what? E was echo. Can I echo words or phrases to help it stick? Can I echo words or phrases to help it stick? Can you? Can you echo words or phrases that will help it, that will really help it stick? Come on, talk to me, folks. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Let's go through something that that may be hanging around in your head. In terms of, I know I've given you some time to think about it. Okay, so talk to me. I'll give you some time to kind of think about it. Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example of what you mean by echoing words or phrases?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. We could say something like, okay, give me a topic of a message that just stays hanging around in your head. Give me a message. Well, that's not a message. Yeah, what's your topic? What's the topic of your message? Give me a topic of say it again. Okay, forgive and move past your hurt. Now give me a statement regarding that you can echo.
Stay stuck.
Okay. Well, is that what you want me to do?
No.
Okay, so what do you want me to do? Okay, because now you said, what did you say about the forgiveness?
Forgive and move past your hurt.
Okay, so forgive and move past your hurt. So whatever your statement that you're going to echo, Carla, it has to match. It has to match moving past your hurt, because that's really what I want you to do. So in the message, so we could say something. We could say something like, forgiveness is the road out of your hurt. That's a little long, but we could say something like that. But you want it to be catchy, and you want to echo that right on throughout your message. So every so often. Now, normally when I use that method, what I would do within my message, I would just copy and paste that in particular points all the way down my message to make sure to keep me focused on repeating this or echoing this and echoing it and echoing it and echoing it. And so because I said it so many times through the message, If they don't walk away with anything else, they're going to get that part. Because that's what I kept on saying. Got it? Okay. So, and this is really, really important here, folks. Because remember, it's not good enough just because we got it said. It's not good enough just because we got it said. They need to, the receiver, the receiver needs to receive it. And if the receiver doesn't receive it, it's probably our fault that they didn't receive it. Because we weren't creative enough, or maybe we didn't work hard enough to come up with a method for them to receive it. Does that make sense? Now, some people are just not going to receive it no matter what you say. No matter what you say, no matter what you do. Some people just, you know, they come out the gate fighting like a bull. You know, they just come right out the gate fighting your message. So some people are just not going to receive it no matter what you do. You stand on you can dance around on your head and they still not going to get the message. So isn't it interesting that in the Old Testament, God would always send the prophet in with a picture message. Send the prophet in with a picture message. He would send the prophet in. He would send the prophet in, and the prophet has a picture message. How would you like to be a prophet and God told you eat some dung? Dookie. The smelly stuff. God told you, because I want, okay, Prophet Delphine, I want to release a message to my people. So I want you to go in with a handful of animal poop, and I want you to get right in front of everybody in the church, because I want to release a message to them, and just start eating it so that they can get the message. Now, who's going to forget that? Nobody's going to forget it. Why? Because you painted a real good image. You painted a real good image. Who's going to forget the one that God told, go and lay on your left side for half the day, then turn around and lay on your right side the other half the day, because I want to send a message to my people. Who's going to forget that message? Probably nobody. Did you see that prophet? Now last time I saw him, man, he released a real good word from the Lord. But he can't. You know that guy came to the church, and he just laid right out at the altar on the right side half the day. The second half of that day, he was on the other side. You're gonna remember it forever. As long as you're on this planet, as long as you have a memory, you're gonna remember that prophet did that. Well, what about the prophet that was told to marry a harlot, a prostitute, and then because God wants to say something to his people. What he wants to say to his people in this instant, what he wanted to say to his people is, I'm married to the backslider. And then the harlot or the prostitute is going to leave you and go right back into her prostitution. And then Hosea, I want you to go and get her and bring her back to your home. Because I want you to illustrate that I am married to the backslider. Are you all here? And so, and honestly, it's really a wonderful love story between God and his people. And so, who's going to forget that? Everybody's going to remember Hosea. Everybody's going to remember Hosea, who married a prostitute. Everybody's going to remember him. We still remember him. And there's probably not much of any prophecy you remember regarding Hosea. But you remember that he married a prostitute. I mean, what prophecies do we remember that he prophesied? And he did prophesy some. But what we remember is the picture. He married the prostitute. You see how that stuck? None of the words that he spoke in his book much really stuck unless we had a teacher like Apostle Eddie Peebles who drilled Hosea 4:6 in us. Right? Hosea 4:6 says what? Say it again. Oh, did you turn to it? I didn't want you to turn to it. You sat right there all that time listening to her, and I know she drilled it. I know she did. No? Okay. Okay. Well, she sure drilled it in us. Maybe the Lord told her to tell us. Didn't tell him to tell you. Didn't tell her to tell y'all. Okay, maybe we were the hard-head group. Yeah, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge and for the rejection of knowledge. Because you have rejected thy God, I will reject my people. So, but outside of that, you know, you have to give some real thought to what else is in Hosea. And the only reason that stuck was because we heard it for years. She drilled that in us for years. My people are destroyed. Not other people's people. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge and for the rejection of knowledge. So, but outside of that, we remember, you don't have to know much about the Bible, but you remember that prophet married a prostitute. Remember that, you know, because it lodged a picture. It lodged a picture in your thinking. And so you remembered it. I still remember Georgia based on the peach or the pulpit. Okay, that's private. I know, don't ask me none of the rest of those things. Don't ask me any of the rest of those things, but I remember the pulpit. Peach, Georgia. Okay. Okay, but anyway, okay, so what's going to be your message? What's your hook to it? What's going to be your message? What's the hook to it? Okay, tithing. What's your hook?
You have a question?
Sure.
Getting back to what you were just saying about Hosea.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have to be mindful that your picture is not so captivating or memorable that they miss your message?
It equals your message.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your driving point. So you don't want it to be aiming in a different direction than the image that you're painting. That's why you're painting that image, because that picture is your message.
Well, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying about Hosea, about people who didn't remember what he actually prophesied.
Mm-hmm.
They remembered that he stayed married, he married the prostitute and came back to
Mm-hmm. Why? What message did God want to send?
Married to the backside, right?
Because the prostitute did what?
She went back.
She went back.
Okay.
And what did Hosea do? God went
Went
back and got her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Went back and got the backslidden Israel. Went back and got them. We return to our alcohol. What does God do? He goes back and get us. We return back to our drugs. What does God do? He goes back and get us. We return to our lies, stealing, cheating, all that. What does God do? He goes back and get us. He's married. He's married to us. And he sent that message through Hosea. So you see how where she went back to, because remember, Hosea brought her out of it. Hosea went and got her and brought her out of it. But then she goes back into it. She backslid. And so he says, okay, go back and get her. That man, oh my God. Can you even imagine that? How many of you can even imagine that? Maybe I'm way out the boat somewhere with God. Or with Jesus walking on the water. And maybe you snuggle safe in the boat. How many of you can even imagine that? Because now remember, here's one. Remember, one of the things we talked about last week is that you have to come from where you live, and you have to get in the message. It's the only way that you can preach a good message. Let me try that one more time. It's the only way that you can preach a good message, because you're gonna have to come from out of the safety of your boat, your environment, where you live. And you have to meditate upon that. That's why at the very minimum, you're going to take the whole 6 days in order to come in there. Because remember, the objective is within this, and we'll probably talk about that next week, but the objective is to free you up on Saturday so that we can enjoy family. Does that make sense? But from Sunday all the way up to Friday, we should be developing that message. And so on Saturday, we really should be free to enjoy family. Does that make sense? If we do the process correctly. But now think about this. You have to now get in the message. What would it be like married to a prostitute? What would it be like? See, you gotta get there, or you can't you will not be able to embrace your relationship with God, because we all have gone back to something at some point in our relationship with God. We all have gone back into something. We all have functioned like the backslidden Israel, after God has been so good to us. And then we went back, or we mistreated people, or we, dishonored the man or the woman of God, or we did this. We operated differently than how God wanted us to operate. So I guess the question is, to what degree does our hook, does our picture actually resemble what it is that we want people to get? We want them to remember this. And so, God does too. So what are we going to come up with? So the development process, and Rhonda, please text me tomorrow and remind me to send you this information. And remind me too, Carla, please. Because I think I got a text or email or something from her saying that she wasn't able to open it. It is a PDF, though. Let's see. Uh-huh.
People more or less recognize a person recognize people who do messages, if they put a title in their name, like bishop, elder, or minister.
No,
No,
no. People are gonna remember your message. Yeah, they're gonna remember your message. And remember that the challenge is a lot of times is that the message is just not clear. So I mean that's normally the challenge. But they're gonna remember your message, and there are some messages that you're just simply going to remember because they connected to you. And so, and actually, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to get to. I know we talked about alliteration. We talked about the contrast. We talked about the contrast. We talked about all of them, but I kind of reiterated on some things today. We talked about the hook. I think we spent probably more time talking about the hook because you have to be able to create a hook that hooks them in with your message. What is it that we want to how do we want them to connect? How do we want them to connect? They have to connect. Outside of that, because now remember, in every single thing, a person needs a reason why. In every single thing, okay. Okay, she has it.
Oh, okay.
She said, the C sent it to her. He faxed it to her. So in everything, we have to be able to relate it to something. We gotta connect. We have to connect. You just see it as joining hands. Just kind of look at it that way. If you, I mean, do you just hold hands with just anybody that you meet? Okay. I mean, but do you? Of course not. What is the reason? Well, Jimmy, you probably your hands probably connect with people that just strange people that you don't know, right?
They have, yes.
Right, and under what circumstances would that be?
Safety, greeting.
Yeah,
That's just safety greeting.
Yeah, I mean because of what you do.
Right.
And then so because of what you do, you're doing these different trainings for the military, right?
Right.
So you're doing different trainings for the military. Some of these guys that you're training, you don't know them from Adam. But at some point they come up to you, you connect.
Right.
And so there's a reason that you would actually connect. What is the connector between you and who you're going to minister that word to? What's the connector? See, because now remember, God gave you that word. God knew everybody was going to be here. So God gave you that word. It's your job and my job to make sure that we connect. Do you realize that it don't offend me? It don't offend me at all when people tell me, you know what, what you talked about today. I have a clue what you were talking about. Why should that offend me? Why should that offend me? That helped me. That told me that I did not do a good enough job connecting with them. That's what that told me. I didn't do a good enough job connecting with them. I have next Sunday or next Wednesday to do a better job. Got it? You know, some people tell me that, go a little too long. So then, we'll do our best to connect, right? We'll do our best. So I'll do everything in my power to shorten my message so that we can connect, because I want to connect in that way as well. So in every single area of the message, I need to be able to connect. Yes, ma'am?
I need some clarification.
Okay.
I'm sitting here listening.
Mm-hmm.
The more you go on, the more I'm trying to wrap my head. I'm getting a little cross with a catchy statement and a hook. Some kind of way they seem like they're crossing to me.
And they may be. And they may be. You're not using the word is preached. You're not using all 6 of these things necessarily in one message. You may or you may not. But now just to unravel that for you, it could be catchy and a hook at the same time. A hook is catchy. A hook really is catchy. Okay. For instance, a hook and catchy. And I shared this before you got here. Stephen Jobs did this. He did this in a probably what is less than a 60-second, probably 30-second commercial. There was some mention about the iPod, and then Stephen Jobs just simply did this: 1,000 songs in your pocket. Put it in his pocket, walked off. Catchy, and we never forgot it. Catchy, and we never forgot it. It's catchy, but it's the hook. What is it hooking us to? Millions of people went out looking for an iPod. You know why? Because we all wanted 1,000 songs in our pocket so that we can quit carrying those CDs or cassettes around. What do you mean? Yeah, a Walkman. Yeah, so we can quit carrying that big old thing on our side. When what he did was taking it off of your side, and he put 1,000 songs in something that big, and you can just slip it right down in your pocket. It's a hook. It's a hook. You know, we talked about FedEx, and I'll close it with this. We talked about FedEx. What was the hook of FedEx? Now, and it's clear that they charge you more. Probably nobody's going to charge you what FedEx is going to charge you. But you know what? You know what they said? In their hook, they actually made their statement. Say it again. It means that, but it's something just a little different.
I said next day delivery.
No. Say it again. When it just has to be there overnight. They charge you an arm and a leg, but that's their hook right there. When it simply has to be there overnight. And so if they keep putting that in your head and keep putting that in your head, who you think you're gonna call? When it just has to be there. Now, whether they live up to it or not, I don't know. That's not my business. Hook makes you think about it just like that. This has to be there overnight. Who you gonna call? They're gonna charge you dearly for it, but it's their hook. And as I said, we all need a hook. What hook are we going to use